Welcome to Inside the Thunder. I'm KD Hudnall, and on this show, I go one-on-one with some of the most recognizable names in Marshall athletics history.
Thanks for downloading another episode of Inside the Thunder. I'm KD Hudnall. Tonight, I'm talking to a two-time team captain, a two-time all-conference selection, a member of some of those really good Marshall football teams. He earned All-Conference USA honorable mention in 2021, All-Sun Belt honorable mention in 2022, finished his career tied for 11th in school history with 19 career sacks, tied for 13 all-time with 111 sack yards, and his 53 career games played are tied for the 22nd most ever for the Herd. He was part of a Gasparilla Bowl championship team, a Myrtle Beach championship team, Myrtle Beach Bowl championship team, and of course, he was on the field at Notre Dame Stadium when the Herd took down the Irish.
Yes, sir.
It's Roswell, Georgia's very own Koby Cumberlander. Koby, man, thanks for joining me to tell a few stories. Maybe we'll tell a few fibs, and we'll relive some of those really good times.
Appreciate you for having me, man. Been looking forward for this for quite some time because I remember you reaching out a couple years ago, but this kind of lost touch a little bit. So once again, thank you for having me.
Dude, that's 100% on me. I mean, this is not really an excuse because the show did go on, but I stepped away from doing a lot of these Inside the Thunder shows for a while, but I'm glad to be doing them again. And I talked to your buddy Will Ulmer, and
yes,
during the course of that interview, I asked Will, and I'm probably going to ask you the same thing. I asked Will, who are some of those teammates that don't get enough credit from your era, right? And you were one of the guys he mentioned, and that set the light bulb off in my head. Like, dude, I asked him if he wanted to do this years ago, and this was the natural call to make. It's like, let's call Koby, let's see if he's still down. And by golly, you're still down. It's defensive line week, and I am pumped. First things first, catch everybody up, man. What's life like since you hung up the cleats?
It's been quite interesting. A crazy transition, I might say. When you've been doing a sport most of your life since you were 8 years old, you just don't expect to hang up the cleats. And then now I got to figure out what my future holds. And so far, it's been pretty dang good. I've had an opportunity to be a strength coach intern at the University of Colorado at Dion, which was quite the experience. Living up in Denver, Colorado for 3.5 months, and then eventually came back and coached high school football for a couple of years, which has been really good.
So is that the current gig now? You're still in the game, or around the game, I should say?
Yeah, I'm around it still.
Okay. I mean, does it ever leave you? It's been with you since you were a little kid. Does the love and the passion for the game ever really leave you?
No, it doesn't. And I'm glad you asked that. Growing up in Roswell, Georgia, little city 30 minutes north of Atlanta, this is a city where football is pretty much religion over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to have the opportunity to come back and coach at my alma mater at Roswell High School has been nothing but a blessing. Got to have the opportunity to meet coaches that have great philosophy in the game of football and phenomenal players that got the opportunity to play at the next level.
Yeah, that's really good, man. I love hearing stuff like that. Because you did you ever envision yourself as a coach? Was that something you're like, man, I think I want to do that? Even before you were done playing, did you think, yeah, man, maybe I want to coach a little?
I'll say it was a little on and off. Even during college, maybe I'll coach a little high school football when I'm done. But then I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I might find something else. Mm-hmm. So my brother, luckily for him, and I'm actually thankful for what he did, was to give me that internship, which basically changed my whole perspective. I don't want to be a strength coach. I'd rather be a defensive line coach and coach the game of football. This is the game I played since forever. So why not?
Yeah. And, quite familiar with the Roswell area because Marshall through the years has hit that area pretty hard. And we've had some players from that North Atlanta, Roswell kind of area, and it's paid a lot of dividends for the Herd over the years. So it's do you find yourself nudging guys towards Huntington? Hey, have you looked at the Kelly Green and White? Do you see what's going on up there?
I've tried. I've had a couple of guys, a couple of linemen I've tried, but they're like, it's nice, but I want, something else, something a little bigger, which, I respect. That's one thing. I was like, you know what? It's not for everybody. So, I wish you the best of luck on your journey. But,
it's okay.
Yeah, no, trust me. I already know.
As long as you're trying, man, then we can't ask for much more than that. But let's talk about how Marshall happened. How did it happen for you? How did Marshall enter the picture for Koby Cumberlander?
Great question. That's a story that I love to tell because it's a story of, having to go through adversity and being able to overcome that. So it's quite interesting, because Marshall, they ended up offering me, I want to say, probably a little bit towards the end of my senior year, because shout out to Sheldon Evans, big shout out to him. He's the one who pretty much helped me decide, is it going to be JUCO or you trying to come to Marshall? Mm-hmm. You sit out a year, you sit out a semester or two and, work your grades and get them better. And then you're put on full scholarship and there you go, you're back into football. And, I was like, I'm not willing to waste a year or two of eligibility going to JUCO. So why not just listen to what he says and just take that?
So it was late in the process. I mean, most guys are getting offers their junior year, I think, is really the busy time. And I think a lot of guys want to get that settled heading into their senior season so they can just play, So this was the latter part of the senior year. That's, to me, I don't really know. I'm assuming that's pretty late in the process. Did you have an opportunity to get up there and see things? How much were you able to squeeze in, campus visits and talking to coaches and watching practices? Mm-hmm. Were you able to do all of that stuff that late into the process?
I could say yes. Before I took my visit to Marshall, and that was right when I graduated my senior year, and it was in July. I took it a week before I actually decided to commit and actually come up to the school permanently. So I was at Michigan State. That was the main school I was looking forward to going to. Mm-hmm. My family's from Detroit. My uncle played at Michigan State, Kevin Willis, so for me, I was like, why not, join another family member at Michigan State and make a name for myself playing football. And dream come true. My senior year, they offered me. And, things are going good. I'm hyped up about it. My family's hyped up about it. I take a visit up to Michigan State, beautiful campus. Unfortunately, it was cold during the wintertime, but it was still a great experience. And then I had the opportunity to meet Mark D'Antonio, phenomenal coach. Everything he did at Michigan State will forever be remembered. And he told me, at my transcript, and he told me, I'm sorry, son, looking at your transcript, your GPA doesn't really match the qualifications in order to get into Michigan State. And that definitely broke me a little bit because, this was an opportunity I've worked so hard for since I was 8 years old. And this was my dream. Mm-hmm. And for that dream to basically be crushed, I just didn't know what to do. At first, I was just like, I'm thinking I might just stop playing football. I'm completely done with it. And I go back home. I tell people the news, like, yeah, Michigan State did give me the go to commit. I need to get my grades right, so I don't really know what to do. I think I just might quit. And I remember Sheldon telling me, like, hey, man, like, Marshall's actually been looking at you. I think, you might need to take a chance with them. This is the opportunity. And I took his word for it. Took my visit up in Huntington in July 9th of 2017. Ever since I came up to Huntington, I just knew right then and there, just the people, just the whole atmosphere, what they had to show, this was going to be home for me.
That never gets tired. I never get tired of hearing that, right? Because that's the thing I think most of the Huntington community really tries to pride itself on, is that's how we separate, is we are, like I say this so much in so many episodes, and it always rings true. Every freaking school in the entire country tries to sell you on family. We're a family, we're a family, we're a family. When you get to Marshall, they deliver that. Yes. Like, it's not just a pitch. Like, they deliver that to you. And that is the single biggest, like, compliment I think that you can pay to Marshall fans and the Huntington community is that you, as a 17, 18, 19-year-old trying to figure out what's the best fit for you, walk into that city and into that stadium and into that university, and you go, yeah, this is it. This is what I thought I wanted XYZ, but maybe I want the M, you know? Was there a singular moment? Was there had to have been a moment when you said unequivocally, this is where I'm supposed to be?
Besides the facilities, besides, going out and being in Pullman Square, going to one of the restaurants and enjoying that, I think it's just really like what they had to show in terms of how the players really, I'd say, attacked everything. Their approach to the game of football, how they trained and their work ethic. I can remember Coach Price taking me around the Shoey, actually, going through film, watching some of his players, and then going through a workout and watching them work out. I'm like, these guys are legit. This is the team I want to be a part of. I want to be around dudes that love football, that love the grind, that will do anything by any means to win. And that's why Marshall was the place for me.
I don't mean this. I'm not trying to be like disrespectful in any way, and I'm not trying to get you to answer in a way that seems disrespectful. But was it a little eye-opening that you go, oh, well, these small schools are legit too? Because you're a Michigan State guy and you're thinking this is where it's at, big campus, Big Ten, right? This is like a whole different world. And then you get to a much smaller school in a much more intimate setting, and then you see the intensity is the same. The will to win is the same. Was that a little bit of a, oh crap, like this is pretty legit too?
I'll be honest, not really, because even when I was in high school, I was actually, funny enough, I was actually watching Marshall.
Oh, okay.
Doc was still there when Rakeem Cato, his last year, and they won the Sun Belt, or not the Sun Belt, the Conference USA. They won that championship. They won 14-1 that year.
Something like that, 13-1, 14. Oh yeah, maybe.
I think it was like 14-1.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, like Marshall's legit.
That was a fun team.
Oh yeah. Straight dogs.
I can go on and on about that, man. That was a fun team to watch. But yeah, what a great time capsule for you to be paying attention to at the right time.
Right.
Man, that's the watermark that we hold most modern Marshall teams to. For teams of pre-2014, we compared them to those 90s teams, and we still do that a little bit. But man, 2014 is like the watermark for these modern teams. Wow. So, okay. I'm not trying to stick on this, but this brings up a good point to me, because this is something that I've been told about for years and years and years from other former players, administration, like all that. They talk about Marshall's help program and the Buck Harless Center. And since grades were like an issue coming in, is that something that you were part of, that you found to be as big of a advantage as I've been hearing about it for years? Like, can you walk me through what that means to a player?
Yes. I'll say the Buck Harless Center is by far the most essential place if you need to focus and actually get your time to study, especially as a student athlete. You're always busy, especially, being a football player. You're going to class, you're going to meetings, you're going to workouts, you're going to practice, you're prepping for games, doing all these things, watching extra film. It's like I need a place to wind down, get the help that I need, and be able to keep up with my work in order for me to stay eligible. So the Buck Harless Center for sure is definitely somewhere, I definitely recommend a lot of student athletes go and be there consistently, because one thing they will do is they will track you. If you got to be in for study hall, they're going to make sure you're in study hall. So that was one thing. Like, if you weren't in study hall, you get punished for it. Right?
You out there running stadium stairs?
That was not fun. So I remember I did that one time, and I regretted it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make sure to be on time and get my stuff done on time. So it never became a problem for the rest of my life.
I love that. Looking back, though, during your time, your playing years, you're in the thick of things now, and you're getting plenty of game rep and you're contributing in a big way. And, you became the Koby Cumberlander that Herd fans know. When you think about that time, your time at Marshall, what is it that stands out first to you? What do you always remember first?
I'll remember the adversity that I've had to go through, working your way up through the ranks. You're coming in as a young guy, especially as a prop, when we used to have the prop program.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And you got a lot of these older guys, you're like, oh, yeah, he's a prop. He's not going to be as good as as people say he is. And that right there, lit a fire in me a little bit, lit a fire in me, and it motivated me to, work hard, work 10 times harder than the guy next to me. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I had something to prove while I was there. And, doing the things that I did consistently, it tended to show itself.
I like that too. I get a lot of, I remember the locker room. I don't remember the games as much. I remember the work with the guys. And like I said to Will, all the stuff you hated at the time is what you think about now and appreciate. It seems to be what the guys appreciate the most. Of the accomplishments. What is it that you're most proud of?
Oh, you should know this. Going up to South Bend and beating 9th ranked Notre Dame.
Wow.
And let me tell you, when we were in spring 2022 going into that season, and we found out that schedule, when I tell you the confidence the guys around me had in that locker room, we knew we were going to go into South Bend and beat them. We didn't worry about that. It's like, oh yeah, Norfolk, that's easy. Notre Dame, that's what we really wanted. And that was the coolest thing to look at, because guys aren't going to sit back and be like, oh, it's Notre Dame, it's the Fighting Irish, or in South Bend, historic programming, and respect to them. A lot of respect for Notre Dame, right? But the work and the sacrifices we made leading up to that point is something that we don't want to live with regret. So it's basically go all out, fight every single play inch by inch. And, at the end of the game, when the clock hits 0, we win. We pulled off arguably, in my opinion, the greatest upset in Marshall football history. That's how I feel.
I remember watching that game. I was at a watch party down here in Florida, and I was watching it with some friends and a bunch of other Herd fans, and there was even a kid that had committed, but hadn't, he was going to be in the next recruiting class, but he had already committed, and he was there. And we were watching this game, and I remember thinking, this isn't a fluke. Like, Marshall's actually the better team on the field today. And it was apparent, like, the whole game, it was this really tight game at halftime, and nobody really got too far ahead or too far behind, and it was just a back and forth thing. But even through all of that, I felt we're a better team today. Like, we're legitimately winning. They didn't turn the ball over 8 times and shoot themselves in the foot. Like, every turnover that we got, we went and took. It wasn't gifted. It's like, man, this is crazy. This is crazy to me. And it took me, that was almost 20 years after the fact of the big, I'm sure you've heard, the big win at Kansas State when they were top 16 in the country. And here you are almost 2 decades later. And, that Notre Dame win, I think, because of historic program prestige, outclasses that one, even though technically that they were a higher ranked team than Notre Dame. Doesn't really matter. Today's game is so different.
Way different.
So different. And I can definitely see where you'd say this is the biggest win in program history, right? I will forever have that at number 2, because to me, nothing ever will beat beating Xavier after the plane crash. Nothing, ever.
That's fair.
Never. Because that's the win that set forth in motion that Marshall really can rebuild and really can, come back from this and start to show they can compete and win. But anyway, I can't fault you for that. There are a lot of fans that feel the same way you feel. I wasn't alive when that game happened, but still, historically, that Where does that game rank in your entire football life for you?
Easily number one. Easily. And that's the thing. There's no question out of my whole entire football life. High school was cool. 2 state championships.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Big accomplishment. But it's just, again, going into college, having the opportunity to play against programs like that, and not to mention the fact it's a blessing that I was able to be a captain for that game too. It's just, it holds weight over any other win or any other thing I've done in my football career completely.
I could see that. Outside of there being some kind of matchup where maybe one year Marshall makes the playoff and they get matched up against Notre Dame, I doubt we ever see those guys again on the schedule. So we're probably going to be 1-0 forever against Notre Dame.
Yes, sir.
They don't want none of the hurt, and they know that. Let's not get off of that weekend just yet, because this is such a great topic to talk about for a few minutes. Let's go back before you guys traveled, before you went. Like, what was your favorite moment from the whole weekend? I mean, the win aside, the clock hit 0 and you guys win, it's over, and we've beaten Notre Dame. That I get that's probably like the crescendo of the weekend. Going in, leading in, what else do you remember about that particular weekend?
Ooh, a lot of partying. A lot of partying. I can definitely say that. It was a lot of partying.
This is like exhale celebratory party.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. I was like, I'm thinking like, okay, what was the plane ride like? What was the hotel vibe? You know what I mean? Like, you guys locked in, like, we're about to do this. Like, they don't even know we're getting ready to shock the world this weekend. That was such a. I've watched that game probably 6 times. I mean, from beginning to end. It's one of those that if you got 3 hours on a Wednesday evening and you ain't got nothing to do, like, I'll pop on Peacock and watch the game.
Dude, I mean, I watched it. I think I've watched it a couple times. But not the whole game, but just the cut up. Just to cut up the game.
I'm guilty of that too. I mean, the YouTube highlights are pretty good.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure.
The very first episode I did of Inside the Thunder, I was talking to Kalen, and he was like, I asked him about, he had a couple of runs in that game, but one in particular that we talked about was he busted through, and it was like a 42-yard run. It would have gone for a touchdown. He lost his footing twice on the same play and had to put his hand on the ground, twice in the same play. It still goes for 42. I think if that only happens once, that's a 42-yard signature play touchdown that rides off into our history. It's beautiful, beautiful play. I feel like it might be the best non-touchdown run I've ever seen a Herd player make. I feel that way. That was so legendary. And for a non-touchdown play, I will watch that over and over and think, man, maybe this time he'll only slip once, and we'll see it go. But never get tired of talking about Notre Dame. Never. It's a great win. I love it. Can we talk about a few more of these teams you were a part of, man? Let's talk about
ask away.
Yeah, let's talk about you mentioned being a captain for Notre Dame. I want to talk about the leadership, the trust that coaches put into you for being voted a captain multiple times. What's that mean to a guy? What does that mean to you, and what do you think that means to just a football guy in general?
I think it means a lot to me, and I look at it as like coaches really pay attention just to not just the little things, but just the overall things, like working hard, being in the playbook, studying film, going hard in practice, just overall the consistency. And for me, I wasn't really a vocal leader like that. Now, I'll say things here and there. I'll say the vocal leader, if anything, was Owen Porter, Logan, and all those boys. That, like me, I wasn't super vocal. I just always led by my actions, laying by example. So for me, it was important to do those things. And I know for myself, my biggest fear is just letting my teammates down, and even my coaches. So I knew, okay, if I'm feeling some type of way where I feel like I'm going to give up, I got to think in my mind, like, I don't want to let this guy down. I don't want to let OP down. I don't want to let Sam Burton down. I don't want to let Damian down. I don't want to let Watts down. A lot of those guys, like, it's imperative that you have to have that mindset, because it will always keep you going even through the hard moments.
Yeah, that's a really good way to articulate that. You know, I mean, I think some guys might just say, well, you know, it's just proof that my work got recognized.
Mm-hmm.
But then the weight that you put on yourself because you were recognized in that way, to go, hey, man, I got a standard to keep here. And I have to keep my standard high so that I can set the tone for everybody else. A team captain, to me, a guy that never played football, I say this a lot, I ain't built like that. Come on, you pull my sleeves up, make me feel bad. I need to fit into the frame more. But, you know, I'm 5'8" and, you know, 100. And back then I was do good to weigh 140 pounds, you know, in my college years. So football was never a thing for me. But I got to feel like a team captain is the coach saying, hey, man, you're a tone setter. We need you to be a locker room guy. We need you to be a culture curator, you know. I just think that's a really cool way to articulate that, man, what you just said. You mentioned a lot of guys just now, Logan, Owen, Sam. Who are some of those guys that you played with that do not get enough credit in the history of Herd football? Those guys that showed up and worked their tails off, but just do not get talked about enough.
It's true, man. There's quite a couple, actually, and I just mentioned them. I'll definitely say Burton, Sam for sure, and it's so unfortunate. Phenomenal player, is that he had to deal with injuries and setbacks. But the thing I will say about him, even with those setbacks and those injuries, he always came back, in my opinion, better than what he was before.
I like Sam. I thought he played a really good defensive end spot, very productive guy. It just seemed like Sam Burton was a dude that you just couldn't shake. You couldn't get rid of him. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't take him out of a game.
No.
And he was just going to keep coming back and getting up and coming back. And relentless is the word that comes to mind for a guy like Sam.
Exactly.
You know, and there were your defensive end group, you, Owen, Sam in particular, were just all relentless guys. All of you just like it's almost a contest to see who will give up last. You know,
right?
Like, golly, these dudes never quit. And you talk about high motor guys. I'm going to talk about Owen for a minute, because Owen holds a special place in Herd lore for a lot of people, because he's a Spring Valley dude and a local guy. And, you know, when he started, you guys were doing the tucked under jersey, and you had the whole 90s vibe going, and you know that hits some type of way with the Herd fan base. They look at you guys and they're like, golly, you could have lined them up on these MAC teams and they would have fit right in, you know?
Yeah.
And you know what? I think I interviewed Owen one time for the collective when they were doing a podcast. And I told him that. I said, man, you fit right in with those 90s guys. And he told me, I think that's about the biggest compliment that you could give guys of this era, is that you think we could fit in and play with them. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, really? So, but you two particularly looked like you were cut from that 90s MAC era, all-time great Marshall team's cloth, man.
And I'll
fit the
go
bill.
ahead.
No, you just fit the bill. You fit the mold.
Yeah, no, me and OP, and that's another thing. He was my roommate for two seasons. My last 2 years, he was my roommate whenever we traveled. And you could just feel the connection, you know, not just off the field, but just on the field. We definitely fed off each other a lot. And I think when you have players like that, especially two defensive ends that just feed off each other, it just makes the game a lot harder for an offense. A lot harder. Yeah.
I mean, to me, it goes back to motor. How do you try to tire out a guy that doesn't get tired? You know, and you guys were seemingly got stronger in the fourth than you were in the first, and I still can't get my mind to wrap around how that works. Because I get up and go to work every day, and I'm damn sure dog tired at the end of the day.
No, I feel that. Trust me, I already know.
Let's talk about some of these bowl teams. Okay, you've been on both sides of the column when it comes to bowl teams. Mm-hmm. You got one as a youngster in the Gasparilla Bowl.
Yes, I
right?
did.
So let's talk about that one as the first experience in a bowl game, or at a bowl game, or a part of a bowl team, however you want to phrase it. Talk about it from a youngster's point of view, and then we'll get to that Myrtle Beach Bowl championship as a senior. So let's start in Tampa.
Tampa, I can say this. I've been going to Florida for years, specifically like Panama City and Destin. But Tampa was a whole different vibe for me, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And just before the whole football stuff, obviously, I'm going to say the fun stuff we were able to do. Like, as a young guy, you don't expect that. You've never been to a bowl game. So to be able to have free time after practice and to go out and actually enjoy ourselves was a phenomenal experience. But fast forward to actually playing the game, we played USF. Yeah, we played USF, and just the whole atmosphere. Amazing. I'm just looking around and just I'm in an NFL stadium right now. The Tampa Bucks NFL stadium right now is insane, and definitely a learning experience, because obviously being a young guy, not getting the playing time, because you're a young guy, you got to work your way up. I'm still learning. It's just something that really did tell me that, okay, you're gonna have a moment like this. You just got to push yourself. And if you want it bad enough, you got to go out there and get it. So from that first bowl game experience, definitely a great time. Something I'll never, ever forget. I'll definitely put that as my top 5 bowl games I've been to. That's easily number 2.
Oh, okay.
Easily number 2.
That was a good one. I mean, we had just moved to Florida when that happened. And oddly enough, I live just north of Tampa now, and I did then. So when that game was announced, I was like, oh, I get to drive 20 minutes away and watch the herd play.
There you go.
It was super cool because you guys, I was talking to Will about this, you guys did back-to-back Gasparilla Bowls. So I got to do that 2 years in a row, But that one against USF was really cool because they're the home team on their home field, and you guys come in there and beat them on their home field. It was a really cool experience. I was glad I got to go to that. So I'm sure it was super cool to just, like, even though you're not playing, you get the positive spin on that is like you get to observe the whole vibe of the whole game, and you know what I mean. You like really get to savor those moments, and then. You fast forward, we're going to fast forward and then backtrack. We're going to fast forward to 2022, and you're in Myrtle Beach, upperclassmen, playing time is not an issue anymore.
Nope.
And we're going in there, and you're going on a conference field, Coastal Carolina, playing a UConn team, and that one comes out as a win as well. So let's talk about that one. Let's talk about the feeling of going out a winner.
Amazing feeling. No better way to go out as a senior with the band of brothers you've had, the relationships you've built, the bonds you've built for 4 or 5 years. And that's the biggest thing for me when I look back at it. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like I knew, and I remember telling the D-line in our meeting, like, yeah, this is my last one, and I'm gonna tell y'all, like, I'm not gonna live with regret. I'm gonna go out on this field and give it my all for you guys. I'm not just doing it for myself. I'm doing it for y'all. And I want everybody, every single senior, to be able to go out on a high note. There's just no better feeling than that. So being able to take the field, it definitely gives you that feeling of, all right, we're playing a team that's, good team, very well respected team. They've worked their butt off to get to where they're at. But dude, I'll be damned if I go out here and I lose. Trust me.
They worked their tail off to get there, but the train stops here. You're going to run into a thundering buzzsaw today. And that was a pretty good game. And, I have a lot of respect for the way that Cam Fancher played in that game. Leading in, he had been just beaten up, and it was visibly he was playing hurt. And to gut out a performance in that bowl game, I got a lot of respect for him for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring this a full circle moment. Do you remember who the quarterback was for UConn?
No, I don't.
Let me bring it to you. It was a young freshman by the name of Zion Turner, who happens to be Marshall's quarterback 2 right now this year on the 2026 herd.
Really?
Yes, sir. He came to the herd last year. He started a game last year, QB2 last year, and stuck with the program, and he's back with us for his senior season this year. So that's a full circle moment. How about that?
I'm about to say, what a small world. How about that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's right. He was a true freshman playing you guys back then. And
made the right choice.
Ended up in the right spot. That's right. Now let's rewind just 1 year. Let's talk about a bowl game last year in Conference USA. We're going to transition to the Sun Belt the following year. We end up in New Orleans playing who would become a conference opponent in the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. It's basically a home game for them. New Orleans instead of Lafayette. A lot of red in the stadium that day, so a fair amount of Kelly Green in the stadium as well. That was a hard-fought game. And unfortunately, we come out on the losing side of that one, but I got a couple of things I'm going to say first. Number one, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Rasheen Ali proved he was the best player on the field on both teams in that game. Did not matter. But that one was a little bit more physical than I recall a lot of herd games being. I mean, they're all physical. It's football. It's a collision sport. But that one seemed to, let me say angry. It seemed like it was a little angry. And I alluded to this with you before, but I want to take you to the fourth, early in the fourth. Marshall's leading in that one. And it's at the very beginning of the fourth quarter. Rasheen closes out the third, basically putting the herd up. We start the fourth. You guys get the stop, and they punt. They punt to Willie Johnson, and Willie gets waylaid. Yeah. Targeting call, a disqualification by the Louisiana player. So he's done. And Willie lays there for a minute. Ultimately, he gets up and
which is good.
Right. Tough dude, tough as nails. Willie Johnson, tough as nails. So, but the camera pans to you, and I mentioned that you get the back view. So I'm seeing the back of your jersey, and I can tell you are heated. You like the whole sideline is heated, but you are heated, right? And can you walk me through what was leading up to that? What had been going on in that game? Because that one thing doesn't just trigger all that. So tell me as much as you're comfortable telling me. And let's relive what was going on in New Orleans that evening.
I could definitely tell you I was definitely amped up with a lot of caffeine. Definitely amped up with a lot of caffeine. I was hyped up. But like you said earlier, that game was a fight. It was scrappy. That game was really scrappy. And I think the frustration overall just came from me being a defensive lineman going against an offensive line. You know how offensive linemen are. Very scrappy dudes, try to hold you, jump on you, do all the crazy stuff. And as I was going on to the game, we're trying to ask ref, yo, you're not going to make this call. This dude is blatantly holding me. He's doing all this crazy stuff. You're not making the call. So everybody on defense was already to a boiling point. Now, when the punt happened and Willie got whacked, that's when everything for me I just snapped. Because I'm like, now y'all want to make a call when we were asking for calls quarters ago. And I'm looking at the coach on that sideline. I'm pissed at the coach. Pissed. And I know I can't do it. I can't run the field and do anything. But the frustration, everything just built up at that point. It's I really, really wanted to get out on the field and just let it all go. But I knew realistically I can't do that. That's not what a smart player does. You got to be more disciplined. So, yeah, I just looking back at that game and thinking about it, it was just a scrappy game. Everybody was in the heat of the moment, and when that happened, rightfully so, you should get mad because it was just blatant. when it shouldn't have been.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are already playing, overall playing good ball, a little handsy here and there, but you don't have to take it overboard to where you could potentially really hurt somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when all the emotions started really just coming together.
It felt like they were trying to ignite their own sideline. Like, we got to do something to get some juice, man. We can't stop this Ali guy. I mean, we can't do it, and immediately we go ahead, and then that happens. Like, they don't sustain a drive. You force it out, and then the hit happens, and the mood of the game shifted. It did, and I'm not saying it took you guys out of it. Like, you still played very much good football, but they played different football at that point. And to your point, I don't think you're going to get those calls in New Orleans in a bowl game against Louisiana. I just don't think it was going to happen. And it's not sour grapes for me. Like, there's some Louisiana fans that may at some point happen upon this. KD does not have sour grapes. Okay. Like, we did not win the football game, but that play never should have happened. I think we can all agree on that. We can all agree that never should have happened. So I appreciate you opening up about that a little bit.
Yeah,
I have wondered that for years. Like, what is he saying to who?
Oh no, and when people ask me, I'm more than welcome to tell everybody. I'm like, hey, well, this is what happened. Why it happened, and it's just like you gotta hear the truth for what it is, and that's the truth.
I mean, we could speculate forever, but I'm glad I got to hear it. Who would you say has had the biggest impact on you during your Marshall experience?
I'm gonna definitely say Ralph Street. Ralph Street, man, and I gotta call him. I haven't talked to him in a minute. It's been a minute. I know he's got a new position over at Cleveland, which is awesome because I know he's been working his butt off to get to that point, which is amazing. But I'll definitely say Ralph Street for sure. Herd guy. I consider him a herd legend.
Me too.
Dudes, right? And I can remember when Doc left, that whole coaching staff left, and Huff came in, brought his guys in. I can remember sitting in his office. You're doing a little one-on-ones, getting to know the coaches, your position coach especially. I remember we were talking, man. He's like, "Hey, man, like, shoot, I think you can go play in the NFL. Like, your skill set, the way you play, it's amazing." And I was telling him, like, I appreciate it, but I'm not really thinking about that right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to focus on what I got to do now and focus on the present. And I guess he felt as if, I'm not really seeing my potential. So we kind of like butted heads a little bit, but still had a mutual respect for each other. And fast forward into the next year, my last year, I remember calling him and texting him and telling him that, Coach, and I appreciate everything you've done for me. I know at first things weren't perfect. Things didn't really work out the way they were at first, but I want to tell you, you've made such a huge impact on me to really believe in myself fully, to go out and chase something that, not a lot of people are able to chase.
Mm-hmm.
And it stuck with me to the point where, okay, I'm going to play my season, not just for myself, not just for my teammates, but I'm going to play for my coaches, especially Coach Street, because of the impact he's made on me, not just as a player, but as a man. He's taught me a lot of life lessons through just the game of football, and not just me, but a whole bunch of other players too, not just the D-line. That's the type of coach he is. He's a family man. He's a great coach. He does the things the right way to get players to reach their full potential, to really truly believe in themselves. So I'll definitely say Ralph Street is someone that really made a huge impact in my life.
Yeah, Ralph to me is also he's a herd legend. He's an all-time great. He's a Hall of Famer, and he had a legendary playing career. He was playing when I was a student. We were at Marshall at the same time, and he came back to coach and just continued being a legend. That's the way I feel about it, and I think that's the way a lot of people feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
I wish him nothing but the best in his journey to Cleveland. I think that's amazing when the NFL calls you. Listen, I don't blame the guy at all.
Yeah.
I mean, Marshall is always going to be home, and if he has an opportunity to come back, or if there's an opportunity for him to come back, everybody would be like, "Welcome home, Ralph."
Yeah.
So I love that too. Let's talk about the record book a little bit. Did you know where you stood as some of these rankings in the record book?
One I knew, and that was, oh, sorry, the dogs were in the back. My fault.
It's all good.
The one I knew was the sack record. The one I knew was the sack because at the time, what I passed, actually, I remember I was joking with him with it. Coach Street, I was like, I just passed you. And he's like, oh, that's whatever. I'm like, oh, nah, don't be bad now. But that's probably the only one I really knew. But all the other stuff I never knew about.
Yeah, Will was surprised to know that he had played in as many games as he had. He told me he knew he had the all-time starts record, which is pretty cool. But 53 games you played in your Herd career. That's a lot. Think about this. This is over a century of football Marshall has been playing. And you rank in the top 25 all time in games played for the Herd. That not only says that you belong there with your skill set, that you did it for a long time, and that you stayed on the field. Football players play hurt. We know that.
Yeah.
You just kept showing up on Saturdays, man. I think that is something that deserves to be celebrated, especially in an era where it's going to be hard to get guys to get to 50 career games anymore. They may be here and gone. These records of longevity may stand for a while for you guys. And I think that's really cool, dude.
That is cool.
I think that's super cool. There's always, your name doesn't have to be in a record book to validate that you were a great player for the Herd. That's just a data point in a book, and people that watched it know it.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, they witnessed it. They already know.
Right. So people don't forget 32. They don't forget lining up and seeing that bookend duo 55, 32, and 0,
Great
32.
duo.
You don't forget it, What do you miss most about being a Marshall football player?
I miss the people in Huntington. The people, man. And that's, so a lot of people won't say that. They'll say the wins and all that stuff. It's more than the wins, bigger than the wins. The people that are in Huntington, phenomenal. Welcomed me with open arms. And that felt like everything to me. And just being able to interact with people. You go out Pullman Square, just hanging out and about. And you have some kid know your name, Koby Cumberlander 32, like, oh, can I have an autograph? And it's just so cool. People really recognize the type of person and what type of player you are. It's something that you just don't forget. And I tell people all the time, like, I treat Huntington as my second home.
You should. You really should, because you're always, it's not just you and Herd football players. It's Marshall athletes in general. They love having their athletes back. The people love seeing the players they love watching, no matter the sport, no matter the era. It should be a second home to you, because it is, and it always will be. As a guy that has been in the coaching game, this should hit you in a certain spot that matters. If you could sit down with 18-year-old Koby Cumberlander, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give him about the recruiting process and that first year on campus?
I'll say for the recruiting process, talking to my younger self, which is crazy to think it's been 10 years, crazy. Really to work a lot harder in school, focus on your grades, and not get distracted by any other stuff outside of that. And never look down on smaller programs at all. When you're young, and that's the thing that's still going on today, everybody's trying to go after that high-end Division I Power 4, or technically Power 5 again, because Pac-12's back. But they're trying to catch these high-end Power 5 teams like the Alabama, the Georgias, the Ohio States, the Texases, the Oklahomas, and yeah, that's great and all. They have phenomenal programs, historic programs, but never to overlook any of these programs like Marshall, Louisiana, James Madison, Coastal Carolina. A lot of these teams that can't match up against these Power 5 programs that also bring a lot to the table, that have won a lot of games and championships and produce a lot of All-Americans. Like, that's something I would definitely go back and tell myself to, hey, respect anybody from anywhere, because there's always going to be talent.
Yeah. I mean, just think you could have been on the Notre Dame sideline playing the Herd in 2022, and you'd be like, damn, where'd this team come from, right? How closely are you able to follow the Herd these days?
I try my best. You know, obviously not being in Huntington or being around Marshall as much, like, you know, I've been focusing on just life.
Sure.
But I do try to keep up as much as I can, especially during the season. I definitely try to tune into some games, and I went to a couple last year. I went to the ones in Georgia State and UGA.
Oh, okay.
Which were good games. Still unfortunate about the Georgia game. I'm still a little shook about it. I was broken. I was heartbroken, man. I thought we were gonna do something like we did in Notre Dame.
Well, a different world, man. It's hard to compete against the $30 million roster or whatever the numbers are nowadays, you know, whatever. But no, that's good. I mean, I'm glad you're able to even come to the games that are travelable. You know, I don't think anybody has an expectation that you or any of you guys that don't live within a few hours car ride, you know, that are able. I mean, golly, I can't get back to it maybe one a year, maybe two if I'm super lucky, you know. So I get it. I'm just wondering if you're, you know, keeping tabs on who's who, and, you know, the D-line room looks really good this year, and you know, we're going back to a 4-man front versus running a 3-3-5 last year.
Thank you. Yes.
Brad Lambert is back as defensive coordinator, you know, so
love Coach Lambert.
Great
coach.
There's more hope on the defensive line than there was last year, I think, and that's not a slam to them, but you know, we just all kind of collectively feel like a 4-man front is the way to go when you're playing with the Herd.
And that's how, in my opinion, even when I was looking at it last year, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, Marshall's always been a 4-man, and I don't think I like this very much. And that's just me. I didn't like it very much. I'm always going to be very blunt about how I feel in terms of a defensive line front. Even in high school, I'm like, why are we running out of a 3-man when we could run out of a 4-man and cause a lot more havoc?
Yeah.
So it's like, again, I'm glad that Marshall is going back to 4-man.
So we're going to get kind of not telling tales out of school here, but, you know, going to return to the 4-man front. They were very surgical in how they assembled this defensive line this year. We feel like we at the ThunderCast, they hit the portal hard. 9 new members from the portal. No high school recruits from the defensive line in 2027. They want guys that can play now, contribute now. I don't think this is a move for we're going to take some time and develop some guys maybe later, but right now they want dogs that can play. Yes. You know, so
you should.
Look forward to that. So, as a guy that I know appreciates good defensive end play, there's some guys that could surprise you this year.
Oh, looking forward to it, man.
I would say keep your eyes open, and you know, the defensive line. Again, like I told Will, I hate dating these episodes by talking about things that are upcoming or whatever. But our defensive line position group breakdown for 2026 is coming out tomorrow as we record tonight. So they'll give you a little something maybe to waste an hour on, and you can get who's in and who's not here anymore and the whole nine. Let's do some quick Marshall memories, some lightning round questions, and then we'll start to wind this one down because you've been so awesome, man. I don't want to keep you all.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you, man. Take as long as you want, man.
Let's do some Marshall memories. Real quick answers. I'm going to rip off about, I don't know, 6 or 7, and let me see what you got. Who's your favorite Marshall coach of all time?
Head coach or position coach, does it really matter?
Well, it doesn't matter. Will gave me 2. I don't care. It's your answers.
Dude, all right. I will say Coach Huff, Charles Huff for sure. Charles Huff, and you already know Ralph. You gotta go Ralph, man. Good old street, man. Good old street.
Yeah. Who's your favorite teammate?
Come on, man. OP. That's my guy, man. That's my dog.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to him again at some point too. I bet it'd be a different conversation now that he's an alum and not in the throes of playing, like when I spoke to him before, you guys were still playing, and he talked to me and told me like, yeah, Koby's my roommate. And, you got into the game day ritual, like what you guys would do. And he was like, Koby's always got to get a fresh haircut before he's got to get shaved the head. He's got to be slick and clean on game day. And, it's like, we got into stuff like that. And it was a fun conversation. It was really fun. Who's your funniest teammate?
Oh man, that's tough. I'm gonna have to say Shadid
Ahmed? Really?
I kid you not. Funniest dude you ever meet. Even on the field, but locker room for sure. Funniest dude.
I love that. I already know the answer to this one too, I think. But we'll see. What was your favorite road trip that you guys ever made?
Actually, no, I'll say this. Two. There's two.
Okay.
Of course, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
No question. And Boise State.
Oh, yeah.
Boise State.
Again, second one to tell me that. Out west, yeah, Will said the same thing. That was a fun trip. And we talked about that too for a second. That was a really tight game, man. You guys went all the way across country and hung with Boise State. And that game that felt like it could have went either way if we could have just got a little bit more going offensively.
Yeah.
But I recalled that Omari Cobb had the interception in that game, and it was really, it was just we just couldn't get anything going, man. But
it was fun.
What a trip.
Yeah.
Like, what a trip. On the turf and the whole nine.
Because I'm pretty sure when we were getting there, they were just finishing upgrading the field. They just upgraded the stadium. And I will say the fans, amazing. The fans were so nice. Like, you're on the bus, you're driving by, everybody's like, boo. They were like waving hello.
Welcome to Boise.
Yeah, okay. Like, this is different. This is very different.
So, like, dang, this is like Huntington. Like, that's kind of like, so sorry, Boise, you are a close second to the best fan base in the country, but we're a little impartial, or we're a little biased here. Who was your favorite rival? And what I mean is, who did you just love to beat?
That's tough. That is tough. Oh man. Favorite rival? I'm not gonna lie, I'll be honest. I'll probably have to say Middle Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting. I've not gotten Middle Tennessee yet. And the series history with Middle Tennessee is a weird one, because in games when we would beat them, we seemingly just beat the snot out of them. And in games when they would beat us, it was always really tight. Like, really tight. But they were the thorn, man. It was always like, oh, we could chalk Middle Tennessee up to a win. And then it's like, what do you mean we threw 5 interceptions in that game and they freaking won? Like, what the hell?
I'll never forget this was 2021. We played there, right? I think we might have been on a win streak, or we might have went on a win streak after that. But it was that game when it was raining. Monsoon. Crazy game. You couldn't even hold on to the dang ball. That's how it was out there. Crazy game.
Just I have a sore spot for Middle Tennessee, because I always feel like we should just
always beat
the snot out of them, and we just don't. And this goes back before you played.
Yeah.
I remember one of the first years we played in Doc's tenure, we went down there, and dude, they ran the football like 30 straight times because we couldn't stop. We couldn't stop them. And they ended up winning like 51-49 or something like that on a last second touchdown. I'm like, I really hate these guys, man. I really do. Like
Going to my
really,
side, man.
like really do hate you guys. But now, it's like since we're not in the same conference anymore, some of that hatred has subsided, and it's turned to these SBC teams that are the thorn in our side. Like Coastal Carolina seems to be the thorn now. Boy. Anyway, what was your favorite team that you were a part of?
There's been some good teams. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be neck and neck with the COVID team.
Okay.
And my last year, 2022 season.
Okay. So explain to me why the COVID team. Is it just because it was so weird and it was so much unknown? Like, what was it?
No, it wasn't because of that necessarily. More so, we're playing Appalachian State, right? Another rival. And actually, I would not only say Middle Tennessee, I will also say App State.
Yeah.
That's another great rivalry.
Yeah.
I do appreciate too. But when we beat them, when they were ranked 23rd in the nation, that was our first time. Like the guys I came in with, that was our first time upsetting a team ranked.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Also made us ranked. We were ranked 15th in the nation and ended up having the best. I think at the end of that season, we ended up having the best overall defense that year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember that game. That is shout out to Brandon Drayton for the peanut punch into the hands of Nazi Johnson, just like it was like the Lord intended it to bounce into his hands. It could have just gone out of bounds, but boom, right into his hands. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, man. App State is a once rival, but yet growing again. Big Southern Conference rival for Marshall, even before I was a student. But now reunited again, and we've had some dandies, man, in the Sun Belt area. Yeah. And even before that, the game we went there, and it was really, we come out with a loss in that one, but Rasheen Ali took one back to the house on a kickoff. Like that was a great game, even though we came up. We had them once for 75 week, and we beat them at the Jones for 75.
That was my last game.
So many great games. Yeah. Oh, that was your. Yeah, it was your.
That was my last year.
That was a great one, man. What was that? A block? Was it a blocked punt? Did we block a punt in that one?
Blocked punt recovered.
That was the. That was the play. There's always a play in a 75 week.
Yeah, exactly.
There's always a play.
Love, man.
And that was cool. That was a cool one. What Marshall memory will stay with you forever?
So many memories, man. That's tough, man. One Marshall memory. Again, I'm gonna have to say, getting on that plane ride from beating Notre Dame, getting on that plane, and everybody absolutely going berserk. Nothing but celebrations. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, the mayor called to congratulate us.
Probably.
Yeah. When we were on the plane.
I imagine, yeah, I don't doubt that. Let me ask you this, though. Let's piggyback off of that just for a second. Of all the years, you start as a youngster, 8 years old, and all this work and practices and whatever, and you reach that moment. Is that the pinnacle feeling? Is that like, so this is what I've been working for this whole time? Is this feeling of intense victory? Is it that one, or was that saved for something else?
I would say, I would definitely say that it was that exact feeling, because it's like you do so much, you sacrifice so much. Not to mention the fact when you're younger, your parents also make those sacrifices for you too.
Yeah.
Help you get to where you want to go. So it's like when you go into a game like that and you pull off such a win, it's a feeling that it's like all the stuff you worked for and the people you've been around, the bonds that you've built and the love and camaraderie you have for each other, and being able to say that, like, I got to win over a phenomenal historic program like that. That's a memory you'll never forget.
Yeah. It can never be taken away from you.
No,
ever.
No.
Ever. At the end of the day, no matter what happens, the scoreboard still reads what the scoreboard reads.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'll tell this for another 30, 40 years.
So will we.
It's something that you just never forget. Like, game, all the things that I've done, like that's just a memory that just will forever hold at the highest pinnacle of what I've really remembered from being at Marshall.
When like if it whittles all down to one and there's only one left, that'll probably be the one, because dang, that's the Mount Rushmore of memories. It's got to be.
Yes.
What's it like being a fan? Just not a player anymore. You get to be a fan and you get to enjoy fandom. What's that like?
It's definitely a weird feeling because it's like I'm just spectating the game when I've always played the game.
Sure.
Which is definitely a weird feeling, but like when you're really looking at it, it's like now I know what it's like to really like see what the fans experience. Like those exciting moments, like, oh, when a big play happens, you'll get excited, this, that, and the fourth, but you still got to be locked in. You got to be ready to get on the field and play. Now, as a fan, I can keep talking about that same play 5 plays ago and still be so hyped and amazed about it without having to really truly like be locked in on what I got to do. And I can sit there and just enjoy myself with my friends or family.
Welcome to the other brotherhood, man. This
Right.
is where it's at. The fandom is what it's all about. I get to live and die on every freaking snap if I feel like it, Finish this sentence. Marshall will always be
home.
I love that. You got some hive mind thinking here amongst our players. I love that.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about. Let me tell you about the ThunderCast and the connection that we try to build with everybody, because we do a lot of stuff obviously online, but what I'm about to tell you is not some online crap for likes and clicks and all that stuff. And we've tried to build a place in a community online where former players and coaches and fans and family members and player parents and all these people can just stay connected, and if they want to know what's going on with the herd, they know where they can find it. And you can be as connected as you want to be. So whenever you find yourself back in Huntington for a game day, you, your family, your whole crew, everybody is welcome to come and hang with us. I know I mentioned that before, but I want to drive that home because it's important. We still appreciate the sacrifices, the blood that you left out on the field, all of the treatments and the injuries. You guys build memories for us when you play. I'm watching YouTube clips. These are memories that resonated with me, and I sat in the stands with my boys and we shared these memories together, and that's stuff we bond over, and you were directly responsible for that. So please come tailgate with us, come grab some food, tell some stories, hang out, chill, just relax, have a good time, be a fan, man. You're welcome to be anytime you're in town. You're welcome and encouraged to come see us and come chill for a little while.
No, hey, I'm telling you, that is on my bucket list. When I go to a game in Huntington, I will definitely make sure to stop by.
Good. You can't miss us. We are on the back corner of the C lot, right under the big video board, right across the street from McDonald's. No tailgate spot is closer to the stadium than we are, honestly. So you cannot miss us. You just follow the smell of great food. I'm sure it'll lead you right to us. I'm going to give you an opportunity to say whatever you might like to say before we get out of here, and then we'll get out of here.
Shoot, man. All I really want to say is, man, it's always been a blessing and an honor to be a herd brother, to be a part of a program, not just a program, but just the university itself, to, really grow, not just as a student athlete, but as a man. It's helped me build a lot of relationships, a lot of bonds that, I'll hold on for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And I'll just always stay true to Marshall. Always.
Stay true to Marshall. The herd will stay true to you. That's just kind of how we roll in Huntington. Guys, I am KD Hudnall. That is Koby Cumberlander, and this is Inside the Thunder. I'll see y'all on the next one. Later.